Okay, Vinay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we are good to go. Hello, welcome. I hope you guys are missing Sangam 20. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on wherever you're joining. Thank you for taking time to attend. On behalf of All India Oracles Group, a very warm welcome to Sangam 20 Virtual Conference, Festival of Oracle. It is already a week 3, day 9, and session 1. Before I introduce today's keynote speaker, I would like to cover a brief overview of Sangam 20 and a few housekeeping messages. As you can see, Sangam 20 is a 12th anniversary and 12 days of festival. We are bringing the best of Oracle technology to you. We have 100 plus speakers joining across the globe. We worked hard to get a new content, new speakers to our Indian Oracle community. We have introduced themes like rapid fire sessions and community sessions and many more. So do not miss the magic of Sangam 20. Today we have number of expert speakers are joining from across the globe. So do not miss any of these sessions. Uh, it's very important day. It's a cloud track. Basically you need to expand your horizons, right? We have covered core database topics, and let's explore the other topics. You never know what might change, what might discover. So this is one of the important slides of Sangam 20. Take a screenshot of this slide and post it in on Twitter, so your connections also can join Sangam 20 sessions. Not only that, you will make a new connections during Sangam 20. Use hashtag Sangam 20. Remember, knowledge is a power as long as it is shared. Do not say with you, share with others. A few housekeeping messages. I think most of you aware, but still I'll just cover in 30 seconds. So we invite your comments and questions. Please look at the bottom of your screen. Post all your questions in the Q&A only, and keynote speaker will answer appropriately. Please prepare your questions properly before asking, and also use a chat for any support, and use hashtag Sangam 20 and AIOG for continue your conversation in Twitter platform. Presentation material we will upload. I think we have started uploading all the videos you can see in our website. And also, since it's a keynote session, so you'll be like participating in a keynote quiz after the Dan session. And provide, it's very important, provide your feedback at the end of the session, right? So today, our keynote speaker, Dan Gerrity. Dan leads, if you don't know Dan, Dan leads the developer services for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, including cloud native services like Kubernetes and API products. I think you guys are very close to Kubernetes, and because most of our community is developers and DBAs. So Dan Gerrity is a Senior Vice President of Developer Services for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Uh, Dan joined Oracle in the month of Jan 2020 to build and lead the mission is to drive developer adoption and usage and enable building, developing, operating workloads at a scale at Oracle Cloud. So this mission include CNCF influenced services like Kubernetes, streaming, logging, events, and APIs, Before OCI, Dan spent 5 years in AWS building platforms. Um, he's a developer most of his life. He founded and led several startups that ultimately took advantage of cloud services offered by multiple clouds. He has an MBA and a, MS in EE computer systems and BS is in EE from the Stanford University. Has over 60 patents. Oh my God, right? So so Dan is most of his as a developer, so he's very close to our heart. So with that very warm welcome, Dan Gerrity, thank you so much for taking your valuable time to spend with us today. Please go ahead and share your presentation. Thank you. Dan, I think you need to unmute yourself.
The wonders of technology. Don't you just love it?
Thank
I
you.
am here, and I'm presuming you can see the presentation on your screen.
Yes.
It's never quite clear what we see. Anyway, thank you, Sai. I just appreciate so much getting the invitation to come to Sangam 20. And I want to say welcome to you. I understand this is the 12th such flagship conference, although it's the first to be done virtually. So that's kind of a disappointment because, to be honest, I was kind of looking forward to visiting India. I visited India a number of years ago working with an aviation company. Again, I said I've been a developer most of my life, and we were developing commercial software for airline. And at the time, we had a bunch of new upstart airlines in India. Well, Jet Airways and Air Deccan, and just countless Kingfisher and SpiceJet, and just countless airlines. And I got to go over there and visit all the problem airports in India. So that included, for example, Mumbai and Hyderabad, and of course Bangalore, and of course Delhi. And we even went up north into Leh. If any of you have been to Leh, that is a really challenging airport. So anyway, I've really enjoyed my time in India. Wish I were there right now, and alas, I'm not. Although I think I've negotiated with Sai for a trip at some point in the future when COVID is gone. Anyway, I'm super pleased to be here. Pleased to be invited to speak alongside industry luminaries and my colleagues, Juan and Andy. Really appreciate the invitation. As I said, I'm the SVP of Developer Services at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So my role really, I was hired a year ago to look after the developer from beginning to end, from stem to stern, to really try to understand what we need to do to make our cloud services available and useful and understandable, and to be able to get developers to adopt Oracle's cloud, and then provide all the services so that they can deploy, build, operate, and monitor their applications in the cloud. So, and as he said, I've been here for a year, and prior to that at AWS. So you might be wondering, why is there a whole, I don't know, maybe there were days before, it's I'm 19, for example, but you may be wondering, why am I here talking about clouds in front of some of the world's most prominent database experts? And I really think that even that everyone would agree that ultimately it's about the application, and ultimately we're all trying to build applications, and whether we're using a database to do it or other cloud services to do it, I think to build the best applications, eventually you'll want to take advantage of what the cloud has to offer. So I'm going to skip through these slides reasonably quickly because I'm pretty sure that most of you are quite familiar with Oracle and what's going on. But you know that it's one of the world's largest leading providers of business software, you know, with a presence in 175 countries and one of the largest technology companies on the planet. So the cool thing is that we run the whole range, all the way from cloud infrastructure like VMs or soon container instances, all the way up through applications, platform as a service, and then business applications that can run your ERP system and run your financials and all of that. So the whole thing from the very end, the very bottom, including things like Oracle Linux. So all the way, the whole software spectrum Oracle offers. And the products are in use by nearly 500,000 businesses. And recently we've been using our agile cloud capabilities to really do some some important things around, say, the COVID-19 situation. So we've done the vaccine registration in the US. We're exporting this now. Other countries are starting to use it. And it's all built on Oracle technologies that you know, like Apex, Visual Builder, and the Oracle database, and XSCS. And these are all things that you're familiar with. So we're starting to pull all of these layers and all of these building blocks together to do really great things. And what you're seeing before your eyes is Oracle really transitioning from a product-based company to a leading cloud services provider. And it's a remarkable transformation for a $40 billion company. And I think you're along for the ride just at the right time to help go through this journey together with us. One thing that I did want to mention is, we have a lot of customers and a lot of stuff, but we have 136,000 employees worldwide. And that's really an awesome thing. And we've been able to do all this with our employees, even through this COVID-19 situation. It's been quite remarkable to see how people have adapted to being able to work remotely and work at home. And I also wanted to mention that of those 136,000, many thousands of them are in India. So Oracle in general, and my team, Developer Services, which is part of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we're hiring like crazy in our India development center. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but it's mostly Bangalore, but some Hyderabad and some other places too. We are hiring aggressively in India, and proud to be hiring in India because a lot of great things are coming from India these days. So I probably don't need to tell you about the innovation at Oracle, but I will let you understand a little bit about how old I am by saying that, Oracle's been in the software development business for 4 decades. So since 1979, when they commercialized the relational database, basically took some concepts from another major software company to the south, and they made that into the Oracle database. And then, of course, partnering and then acquiring Sun, invented Java in 1995 with kind of the write once, run everywhere kind of approach. You might want to remember that slogan because you're going to hear it come up again when we start talking about our cloud, run anywhere. That's the great thing about Java. Also MySQL. So you've got with RAC and EXA, you've got Oracle database being arguably, I work for Oracle, so going to say something like this, of course, arguably the highest performance, most reliable, most scalable database in the entire world. And then we also have the MySQL offering, which is the most popular and most portable and most easy to move around database in the whole world. So we got the best of both worlds here. And MySQL also came around in 1995. So, but what's great about the Oracle Cloud is, yes, we've capitalized on all of that. Java running in the Oracle Cloud is going to be awesome. And you know, you've heard about the autonomous database, I'm sure, at this conference. But you might not know that that autonomous concept, of course, can apply to many, many other different products. Like, for example, autonomous Linux, where it's a Linux that can patch itself, can configure itself, can understand what you're trying to do with it and adapt itself. So these kinds of autonomous capabilities are important. And we're also embedding these, and well, I guess in order to make that possible, we need to embed AI and machine learning in all of our products. And so Oracle continues to be at the leading edge of these technologies, even though perhaps people don't necessarily think of Oracle right away when you mention the word cloud. I think Oracle ultimately has been a technology company, and as I said, and probably bears repeating, that it's going to be a cloud, unfold as a cloud company right in front of your eyes. So super proud also, the last bullet, 5 million registered members of the Oracle developer community worldwide. Part of my remit at OCI is to build a healthy developer community around Oracle Cloud. And honestly, I'm hoping that this keynote is the beginning of that cloud developer community in India. I'm talking to exactly the right people at exactly the right time. I'm excited about it. So again, we have these applications at all these different levels. So we have integrated application suites, you know, and these things are big applications built on machine learning. They've got the best technologies and enabling fast innovation, modern UX, customer first approach. It's really nice to have that suite of products in our portfolio. Those products are all moving into Oracle's cloud. And so as a cloud services provider, I'm really lucky. I have these gigantic customers that are in-house that are moving into my cloud, and they're telling me what they need. They're telling me what's important. They're telling me what we need to do to make our cloud enterprise grade. So I'm really excited to have that. OCI, as you know, is a cloud we're calling a Gen 2 cloud. Why? Well, we all got to witness what happened with the first generation clouds. And those clouds are awesome clouds, and they've grown very, very quickly. But sometimes I think we've had the opportunity to think about where this is going and to grow it in a more comprehensive manner, to grow it in a way that serves enterprises so that enterprises can build enterprise grade applications, for example, security, compliance, these kinds of things. All of our control plane functions, and I don't want to get too jargony, but all of our control plane functions flow through one set of APIs. So whenever a new Oracle service is added, it automatically has audit capability where it can tell you who came in, created what resources, when, and then set what permissions on those resources. So this is something that comes for free, and it's literally free. We don't charge you for audit records, and you get them with every Oracle Cloud service you use. So that's what I mean by second gen. Like, we know that that's important. Other clouds know it's important, but to reverse engineer, to bring that back into the product is really, really hard. And we were able to do it from the outset. So that's a key differentiator for Oracle, and really is what I think our future success is going to be. I mean, big companies and little companies. I mean, some of our cloud competitors talk about little companies that were born in the cloud. Well, those little companies that are born in the cloud grow up to be big companies. And whether they were born in the cloud or not, they all care about security. They all care about compliance. They all care about making sure their infrastructure is patched. They all care about these things. So we use the word enterprise grade quite loosely. But honestly, this applies to small customers as well, because nobody wants to put resources into a public cloud unless they're 100% positive they know exactly what's going on in there. So that's, again, something that we've been able to do with our second generation cloud. This is kind of a, shows the depth and breadth of our offering. I think it's important. I guess the important things to look at. So if you read this from the bottom up, you see the 4 key components of infrastructure. So networking, database, storage, compute. Those are the things that people are really provisioning to run their applications. So those are the technologies that they're using. But in order to operate their applications, they need more. And so I think that that's where you're seeing the second row up. And you see containers and Kubernetes. Those products are in my team. So we have the OCI Kubernetes engine, which is pure Kubernetes that runs, that service runs in my team, and I serve on the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So we're tied in with all these standards. I'm going to talk about standards a little bit later. And then over on the right, you see the Cloud Native event streaming functions. Those are also in my area. So these are things that developers need in order to complete their application, in order to make their application work, operate, be extensible, available, reliable. You're hearing this whole conference, those middle 2 boxes about autonomous database and data movement. I'm sure you're hearing quite a bit about that. I'm not really an expert in those things, but I do know that we are built to integrate with those things. It's all one platform. And then, of course, on the top, we have, or in the brown, the with all the slants, is the platform as a service offering. So we've got, one layer up, or the next layer, however you want to call it. And then on top of that, the things that, again, are really important for enterprises, the automation and management security. So the automation, resource manager, Ansible, those are also in my area. The interesting thing too that I'll just point out is, well, I guess I can talk about that in a few minutes, but the compute resources, we're not dialed into these little, getting 160,000 different combinations of CPU, memory, disk, and all these kinds of things. We're trying to offer people what they need and make those resources flexible. So applications have to scale horizontally, of course, that's the buzzword, but they also have to scale vertically. And so Oracle's performance is really great because you can use bare metal machines if you'd like to use bare metal machines. You can use Exa CS, Exa CC to get super high performance and super low latency. So Oracle is the cloud for your critical enterprise apps. And again, I'm using the term enterprise relatively loosely. It's the cloud for your critical apps, your apps that have to run, that maybe are transactional in nature and take advantage of a relational database. And why? So I think you have heard about why someone would want to move to the cloud. What are the key advantages of the cloud. And you can see them on the left-hand side of this slide. But I think that it might actually be missing the point. So yes, elastic resources are super important. In other words, as you scale, you're able to automatically grow your resources and shrink them when you're not needing them. You pay only for what you use. You've got fantastic scaling opportunities. And also your developers can sort of help themselves, okay? Or you can help yourselves to cloud services. That makes it really attractive. But the bottom line is the real reason that people use the cloud is that agility, right? That ability to take advantage of new services to make your applications better, faster. That's the key point that I think is not necessarily showing on this slide, but that I think is really the root of why people want to modernize their applications and why they want to either move it into the cloud or keep it on-prem, but treat it like a cloud resource. Now, on top of that basic capabilities that all clouds offer, Oracle offers a few interesting things. We've been able to retain what's good about the Gen 1 cloud, and then we've improved it. So I talked a little bit about superior performance already, superior economics. I'll talk about that in a bit. Enterprise class, what that really means is security and compliance, and we can talk about that a little bit later. With security first, it's a lot harder. It's a more opinionated way to do things, and it's a lot harder to make for lack of a better phrase, a rookie mistake. We have these max security zones that prevent you from making resources available on the web, for example, or on the internet. The last point at the bottom is probably one of the more unusual ones when you think of Oracle. And what it really means is, I mentioned earlier that I'm on the CNCF board. And the reason is that we're really focused on open standards. Now, I can't stand up here and say that Oracle is a force to be reckoned with in open source. So I'm not going to say that. But what I can say is that we are building our products to standards. Why? Well, because that gives our customers the flexibility to field something on-prem, in Oracle's cloud, in one of our competitors' clouds. I mean, we're not crazy. We're meeting our customers where they are. And our customers, a lot of them are running stuff on-prem. So we need to make sure that we can take advantage of standards so that our customers can put their workloads where our customers want to put their workloads. And so that's a lot of the work that I'm doing and my team. And our streaming, for example, is Kafka compliant, and our containers are Docker compliant, and our Kubernetes is Kubernetes. And so, our events are cloud events compliant, and our logging, uses industry standard log formats. So it's really it's kind of the anti-lock approach, and I think that many people would say that in the past maybe Oracle has tried to lock customers in, and now actually in the cloud the opposite strategy is the winning strategy, is don't lock them in, because if you can run your workload anywhere, eventually you're going to want to run it where you get the highest performance, the highest availability, the lowest latency, and the best economics. And we're pretty sure that that's going to be with Oracle. Okay, so what do we mean by superior performance? And I think I alluded to this earlier, but we're offering the full range, and I'm going to talk more about flexible infrastructure a little bit later too. But I think at this point, I'll just say, look, we have bare metal, we have VMs, we have GPUs, we have CPUs. We've got a configuration that will work for you. to serve your performance needs. So if you need to run XSCS, you can run XSCS. If you need to run on a bare metal server, you can run on a bare metal server. Same thing, we've got some really interesting innovations in networking. And again, I think this is a place where the Gen 2 cloud could look at the Gen 1 cloud and say, what's a big problem? And a big problem, there are two big problems. One is visibility of network traffic. So we want to make sure that in the Oracle cloud, we can't see our customers' network traffic and our customers can't see our internal cloud traffic. Like they're basically isolated. And also we don't have oversubscription. So if you spin up a machine and it's got X bandwidth of network bandwidth, you can use X amount. It doesn't matter who else is on that physical machine, who else is on that NIC. We don't oversubscribe our network bandwidth. And then we also support RDMA over converged Ethernet. So like if you really want to move, if you have some high performance needs, you can satisfy them in Oracle clouds with 1.5 microsecond latency. So that's something that makes a double E like me super happy. Okay, from an economics perspective, I don't need to hammer on this too much, I don't think. It's just cheaper, simpler, and more predictable. What we hear from our customers is, hey, the cloud is great for economics, but it's such a surprise. It's like just take a dart and throw it against the wall and see how much it's going to cost you. Like you can never predict this stuff. And so we've done a couple of things with our pricing strategy that really makes it all work for you. And so, I mean, this is something that you'll want to investigate, for yourselves. I can just tell you that, for service by service by service, we are less expensive than our competitors. But also the way we package the prices together, it becomes much more predictable, and you have fewer surprises. We also have some constructs in our cloud called compartments, and these are constructs that our competitors don't really have. It allows you to separate resources but still track them separately from a financial perspective and from an access perspective, from a security perspective. So we have some features that help you manage your costs. And again, Oracle is using universal credits. You're going to hear more about that in the next 6 months, I think, which are, comprehensive. You can use them anywhere. You don't have to kind of know in advance where you're going to be spending your money. So it's much simpler. Again, the cloud, it's built for enterprise, and it's really the regions that we're in, and I'll show you a geographical slide here shortly, but reimagining cloud regions. What would you want if you wanted a cloud provider to have a region? Well, you'd like them to have a region that's super close by so that you can get 2-3 millisecond ping trips, right? And you'd like to have a second different region also nearby, like in the same country. So if you had to do DR, or any kind of backup or any kind of failover scenario, that you could use 2 data centers or 2 regions in the same country without worrying about the data governance, like where the data lives. And so, I think you'll see that in India. We have our 2 regions in Mumbai and Hyderabad. And so you can build an app in Hyderabad and do DR in Mumbai, or vice versa, and your data never leaves India. So, you can satisfy a whole host of requirements that way. So really what we wanted to do, and what we are doing, is building lots of smaller regions, but close by. It's the cloud, it's distributed, like this is the way of the world. And so what you really want is low latency and DR, and that's what we're providing. This slide says lift and improve, run the same software as on premises. I'll go. So many of our competitors are saying, hey, lift and shift is a bad word. It's a dirty word. And I, this is what I mean by my team anyway. Our teams are meeting the developer where they are. And you know what? A lot of developers are interested in lift and shift. Just rehost. And you might say, well, what advantage could there possibly be to simply rehosting? And I think the answer is there's a lot of advantages, okay? Because, well, for one thing, you get the elasticity. Now, whether you take advantage of it or not is a different story, but you get logging, you get monitoring, you get cost controls, you get all kinds of services around it so that you can start, when you do start to re-platform or re-architect, you've got all those services around. So I do think that lift and shift offers tremendous advantages to the enterprise, as does move and improve, which is kind of a variation on a theme. But in any case, whether you're lifting and shifting, moving and improving, or re-architecting microservices for cloud native, or whether you're born in the cloud, this is a cloud that gives you observational capabilities that you need. Also, of course, we have the fastest and most comprehensive Oracle database options, and we also have the very portable and very popular MySQL databases as well. Comprehensive SLAs. So this is something that we're really proud of. We're not scheduling maintenance. We're not doing any of that stuff. We patch your stuff behind the scenes and with zero downtime. That's really our approach. And the cool thing is, if you are using Oracle database and or Oracle's SaaS products, you can use Oracle Cloud, and then you have the so-called single throat to choke, single vendor support, including some really excellent customer service and customer support and partnership capabilities. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Did I lose my share? I think I did, so I'll go back and I will get this shared again. And you should be seeing the cloud built for enterprises slide.
Yes.
I'm assuming if I don't hear anything that you do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so then security re-envisioned in the cloud. So again, security is changing quite rapidly. I probably don't have to tell you. It used to be that everyone was just looking for perimeter security. Everything inside the firewall was good. Everything outside the firewall was bad. And, I don't think that that's the way of the world anymore. And so we've been able to do this. We've been able to take advantage of the newer cloud architectures and produce some things that help you in terms of zero trust. We have maximum security zones, which I would encourage you to check out. This is a thing where basically you say, for this compartment, no mistakes. Like, we just clamp it down, lock it down for you. And there's that product is constantly being enhanced too, but it has mandatory security best practices. It makes it easy to look like a great developer. That's really what we're trying to do, because developers like to write code. From what I understand, these days, developers are spending 17% of the time writing code, which is not very much. They're spending a lot more time like managing code and figuring out compliance and all these other things. And so what we're trying to do is give you more time to code and make you look like an enterprise IT pro, right? You just build the stuff and automatically you have audit logs streaming out the back end through a Kafka stream. So we're trying to do all that stuff for you. Autonomous Linux, I mentioned that before. The whole idea behind these autonomous products is that we know quite a bit about what's going on. We know when there's a threat vector. We know when there's a security vulnerability. So we're going to go and fix those for you, and that's a really exciting place to be. And then of course the autonomous database. I mean, those of you that have worked with Oracle database that know, Visual Builder or know Apex know that you can literally and also free of charge spin up one of these autonomous databases, put some Apex against it, and you can have an actual, honest to God, functioning scaling application in hours. So pretty excited about that. And that application will meet your security requirements. That's the point of that. Okay, last but not least, the open ecosystem. And I mentioned Docker and Kubernetes, but also our functions product, which is equivalent of, say, AWS Lambda, is built on an open source framework called FN. Obviously, MySQL has open source. Linux is open source. Oracle database working with Spark. Terraform, like all the CNCF events, Kafka, API Gateway uses Swagger and some other standards. So I think, again, what we're really trying to do is allow you to build this stuff either on-prem in your own world or in the Oracle Cloud, and then move freely between the two. That's really the objective. And that's why we're embracing these open standards, because we know that you're going to put your application where you need to put it, and you're going to put your data where you need to put it. Now, ideally, that application and the data are right, are right next to each other, but that's not always the case. And so our job is to take advantage of these open standards to allow you to share more code and allow you to spend more of that 17% of your time actually writing things that matter and reusing what's out there in the open source community. So I did want to touch briefly on some success stories that we've had in India. Now, I didn't pick the big multinationals that you're all familiar with. I can probably tell you, or I don't have to tell you, that many of the world's largest, most successful, biggest enterprises are using Oracle database, right? So a lot of these people are finding it quite straightforward to take XCC, at customer and moving it into the cloud, right? So we have a lot of very successful larger organizations. These are just some that I went through and picked out because they illustrate something that I was talking about earlier. So here, the company Manapuram Finance, exceedingly important non-banking gold finance company down in the Southwest. And they have over 4,000 branches, and they're active in 25 states in India. And they have, transactions, right? They're actually transacting business. It's very important. And they need a relational database management system. So they're using Oracle. And then here is the perfect DR story, right? Where they have their prod in Mumbai and their DR in Hyderabad. So really a great way for them to adopt the cloud and get some advantages right out of the gate. Another one, Bata, which is a multinational company, founded in 1894 in what today we would call, I think, the Czech Republic or maybe Slovakia, but then it was called the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Can you imagine a company that old that the kingdom in which it was created doesn't even exist anymore? Anyway, they've been quite successful in India. And they moved all their point of sale into the cloud. And that's where they're taking advantage of elasticity and price performance. So they can handle the load during the busy shopping days and the Black Fridays and so forth. They can scale as they go. Another one, Oyo, hospitality provider, same thing. They were created in 2013, so they're a relatively new company at a time really when the cloud was being born. They're located way up in the north of India and using Oracle's Hyperion products, and they've been able to replace their SAP systems with more scalable solutions that take advantage of the elastic infrastructure. Polycab, again, optimizing cost, increasing operational efficiency. I probably don't need to go through all these details. I'm just going to skip through Bajaj. There's also IFCO. These are, just companies in India that are taking advantage of the cloud today that need your help. That's kind of where that is. I want to talk to you a little bit about the future of Oracle, and I'm going to speed up a little bit here because I do want to leave some time to answer some of these questions that I see appearing on the screen. Here's the 28 Oracle Cloud regions and growing. Again, we're trying to pair them up so that you can do DR in the same kind of regulatory environment. Upcoming features. Now, this is a list that just is insane. And so I'm not going to talk about all of these things. I will highlight the things that are coming from my teams, might as well. This is my chance to do it, but OKE is the Oracle Kubernetes engine. And we have this feature coming out where you can use flexible memory. So right now, the way this all works, you're picking VMs that are of a fixed size, and then you're floating containers in these VMs. Well, we want to be able to scale these things up and down, not just horizontally, but also vertically. And so we're starting to add this with our flexible infrastructure. VM Live resize. This is crazy. You can resize your VM without taking it down. That's really, really nice. We're getting next-gen VPN as a service, and then here's the flexible infrastructure again on the load balancers that are bursting. Couple other things that I would point out. Again, we talked about CloudGuard and security zones. These are key for security. Certificates, asymmetric keys, a lot of things going on here. CloudGuard, I think, is probably the most important here in the lower part of the slide. The cloud native service really that helps customers monitor, identify, achieve, and maintain a strong security posture. Again, something everyone eventually will want to do. Here's another page, and one of my teams is the observability. So all of those are ours. We just released logging. The logging is a single pane of glass logging solution. So whether you have audit logs, VCN or virtual cloud network flow logs, or application logs or compliance logs, no matter what it is, you can come into one place in the OCI console and slice through those logs, looking for events, looking for IP addresses, looking for whatever it is. They all share a common data dictionary, and it's quite an impressive service. And then using the Service Connector Hub, you can connect the output of any OCI service with the input of any OCI service. So you can take those log files and stream them if you want, or push them to Splunk if you want. There's a lot of different applications. So I don't want to dwell on these too much. I'll just say that there is a lot going on in Oracle Cloud. It's only been around for 4 years, which I find sometimes I find myself incredulous at that. When you look at all the services that we offer, it's kind of amazing what's been built out in 4 years. So with my last couple minutes here, I did want to mention, just talk about what we're doing in India, because I think it's a little bit different. I think that in the past, big multinational companies have used India for IT purposes that aren't necessarily about service ownership. I think that the cloud is changing the way we do software development, and we need the next gen of software developers need different processes, different tools, different ways of doing things. So, for example, Agile. So it's almost, really as part of this whole transformation into cloud is changing the way you do development. So moving from a waterfall system with, quarterly or semi-annual releases into a continuous deployment model where you commit something, it goes through a pipeline, runs through automated testing, and gets deployed. And so it requires certain kinds of software developers to do this. And this is what we're doing in India, or at least this is what I'm doing with my teams that I have in India, is we're giving the full end-to-end service ownership. So from working with customers to conceive of the product, architecture, design, engineering, test, deployment, all of that, all the way through, operating it and then monitoring it and then fixing it when it breaks. So I'm really excited about taking this model of service ownership to India. And the only way I can do that, and this is the only slide I could really find that would help me make this point, is if you look at in the right, upper right, it's talking about smart people with lots of autonomy. We can only make this happen if we have super smart people and we let them go, right? So it's a lot of autonomy, super smart people working together. That's the magic formula that allows you to do service ownership in India. Same thing now, moving clockwise, the startup mindset with enterprise resources. So this is really, something that's coming of age in India, the whole startup mindset, thinking about the whole customer problem, thinking about all of these things from a holistic perspective, and being able to do that with good funding. So like we're doubling our India Development Center presence. And, clearly we haven't even built the services yet. So it's not like that's revenue funding. This is an investment in India. Values driven. So the company OCI, I'm really happy to say, has a strict set of values that we live by. And that helps us grow internationally. It helps us grow virtually. It helps us grow during times of COVID because the values of the company are knitting us together. And then just huge growth. My team is growing 48% this year. A lot of that growth is in India, and growth creates opportunities. When a company is growing that fast, there's opportunities for advancement. There's opportunities to learn something new. There's opportunities to try something new. And again, we're building a second gen cloud. It's a new class of cloud. So it is an opportunity to do something really cool. So I just share this just because I want you to know that we, at least my team for sure, is investing in India. So I'll just end by saying, go try the free tier. The free tier is a pretty cool program that the Oracle Cloud has. Just get an account, use a personal email address, and sign up. You have to give a credit card, but you're not going to get charged. It's just to set it up. It's just for validation. So we have both free trial, which lasts for the first 30 days, and you have $300 worth of credits that you can use. I'm not, yeah. And then I'm not sure if it's in rupees or in dollars or whatever, but you get the idea. And then there are resources that are always free. So with that, I'm going to stop, and I am going to look at some of these questions. Are there any more cloud regions or Azure interconnect sites planned for India soon? I can only refer back to that public slide when I talk about this. And this is the slide that does not show an Azure interconnect in India. But having said that, I think, again, you're seeing a pretty big investment by Oracle. You're not seeing such a huge investment by the other cloud providers in India. You are seeing one from Oracle. And so I would not bet against it. I know that's not a very satisfying answer, but it's true. Object storage versus archive storage. So I think this question is probably wanting to know whether we have like different price points, like some of our competitors have various different buckets and ways of accessing. And I think, I will say that, yeah, we're a comprehensive cloud. We have a lot of services. We don't have all the little teeny ways of chopping things up that some of our competitors have. But I also would encourage you to compare the cost of Oracle object storage versus the cost of a competitor's archive storage. You may be getting archive prices for regular storage. So yeah, we're not trying, if we try to catch up with every product variation that the other cloud providers have, we'll never get there. What we're really trying to do is give you opinionated ways to build your app safely, looking like a security pro while you're doing it. Out of SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, what do you think are Oracle's forte, and which segment do you think there's further growth? Well, okay, so you're asking a guy that works in infrastructure. So I work in IaaS. I think Oracle, well, let me just say those definitions are blurring. So I work in infrastructure, okay, but we're building, I think I can talk about this. We're building we're going to build a serverless version of Kubernetes, because right now with our Kubernetes product, you still have to provision underlying VMs or VMs or however you want to do it. But we want to move up stack so that you can just give us your containers and we'll go and create all the infrastructure behind the scenes. So is that still infrastructure as a service, or is that now a platform as a service? So I think that these definitions are going to kind of change. But honestly, I think that you hit the nail on the head, which is that Oracle does offer products at each of these levels, and they're good products. And so I think I'd probably get in trouble if I answered with my gut feeling, which of course is the infrastructure teams are the forte. But I can tell you that that's where a lot of the investment is going. And what the SaaS and PaaS providers are doing is porting. They're moving into the Oracle infrastructure. So yeah, I see this question about knowledge sharing. We don't see much knowledge sharing sessions on OCI happening in India compared to AWS and Google. What are Oracle's plans going forward to fill the gap? That's exactly it. Fill that gap. We're hiring some quite senior people now in our India Development Center, our IDC, mostly in Bangalore. We do have people in Hyderabad as well, but my team is responsible for getting developers to adopt the Oracle infrastructure. So this is, you're kind of asking me, hey, Dan, I don't see much going on. What are you going to do about it? And I'm telling you, we are working on this. This is a serious shortcoming. And we're trying to make it easier for information sharing. We're trying to make it easy for people to do self-service. We're trying to integrate our documentation with our console. And we're trying to provide, again, opinionated paths. So we have a list of things that we're trying to make super easy. So as a developer, you come in, you sign up for free tier. Here's 12 tutorials that make logical sense, that are fully integrated with the console and the documentation. That's what we're trying to do there. Are you planning to increase the cloud credits, services, and time? It's funny that you asked that. I mean, I will say that we are considering that. Why? Because right now, the basic cloud credits are $300 for 30 days. The problem is, by the time you get your account set up and you get everything figured out and you get the command line tools installed and you set up the authorization and you get all the keys that you need, you're already 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it. So I agree with you. I don't think the cloud credits, neither the cloud credits nor the time are the right length. I will just say we're working on that. I don't have anything to announce right now. So other than if you have a relationship with Oracle sales, then contact your salesperson and that person might be able to help you. Where does Oracle Cloud stand in the top 10? I'm not sure if I understand exactly what this question is asking. And Sai, you need to cut me off if I'm over time. Like, I don't know what's coming next. Am I doing
Yeah,
all right on time?
maybe you can take one more question, Dan. Maybe if you can look at three more questions in the chat.
Okay. Okay. And just pick one of them. Well,
Hmm.
I like Munshi's question. Where does Oracle Cloud stand in the top 10? So 4 years ago, Oracle Cloud didn't exist. Today, Oracle, I honestly believe it's the fourth in that list. If you look at Gartner, who's an industry analyst, quite popular, they have their magic quadrant and they're giving points out. And if you rank clouds by those points, we're number 4. I do think that most people don't know that the Oracle Cloud is as comprehensive as it is. Most people don't understand that it's a full cloud. If there's any perception that I could change, that's the one I would go after. We are the real thing. We have all of the stuff you need, and we're ready to go. So thank you very much for this opportunity to talk. I look forward to doing this again on the ground in India, enjoying the wonderful things that India has to offer. Thank you very much.
Hey Dan, thank you so much for taking your valuable time and spend with us today. I know this is late evening for you. You are the first leader from Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Organization supporting the AIoT community. It is such a privilege to have you, and we want to see you in person in Sangam 20 in Bangalore. That's going to be a really, I think you understand the COVID. Otherwise, we'll be like doing a lot of networking with you and all the fun stuff with you. We are missing all the stuff.
I
Hopefully,
know.
we'll be back very soon. And thank you very much. And it's from the entire Oracle Indian community. I want to really say thank you the way you spend time with us, coming with this particular session, and thank you to Mary also. And so with that, guys, now the knowledge check. So please scan this QR code, or you can use a Bitly link and participate in this, knowledge quiz, and you have a chance to win the prizes. And we also finalized the, winners for the last 2 weeks. We will announce it today or tomorrow. Okay. So I'll just keep 5 more seconds here. Please scan the QR code and participate in the quiz. Okay, so I skipped this one. Okay, who's coming next? So Lucas Jalalama, he's coming and he's going to talk about six reinventing Oracle system in cloudy world. So this is really a great session. So please join the next session in 30 minutes. Let us take a quick break and join on time. So with that, we are closing this session. Thanks, Dan. Good night for you.